Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and earlier this year with the Google Play Edition devices, there was a little bit of worry that we might not see a new Nexus every year. But this is 2013, and we know by now that just about everything new is going to leak before it's announced. And this new Nexus is no exception, so without any further ado, this is everything we know about the next Nexus. So first of all, the rumor mill really got going when an Android 4.4 promo video from Google went up and had a 1 or 2 second clip in it of a Google employee holding an unannounced device that said Nexus on it. So we all pretty much assumed that that's the next Nexus right there. He's got an early copy, and essentially that's where a lot of our initial impressions of what it's going to look like came from. Since then, though, we've gotten way more leaks from FCC submissions and leaked service manuals and actual photos of the device itself that give us a much better idea of what to expect when the actual device is released. So we basically already know what it's going to look like at this point. So here is a pretty accurate render, I would say, of what to expect when the announcement finally rolls around, when we see that Nexus 5 for the first time. You can pretty much assume that that's what it's going to look like. It has a larger display and the LED notification light on the front, a larger camera aperture on the back, the matte black finish similar to the current Nexus 7. It's a very simple, clean, pretty much understated device. Now I have the Nexus 4 here, which is also in its day a very clean, simple, understated device because it's a Nexus. It has no front buttons on the front, but on the back it at least had a little bit of shine, a little bit of glitz, or something to significantly distinguish it from other devices out there. But from what we've seen of this new Nexus, it looks to actually be even more of a clean, simple, understated device. Now, two things. Will this actually be called Nexus 5? And will this actually be called Android 4.4 KitKat? Well, about the KitKat thing, you can pretty much be guaranteed that yes, it's going to be called KitKat. Some people still don't believe it, but if you've read more into the Android 4.4 story, you'll realize that the partnership with KitKat came essentially at like the last second. It was a very last second for fun sort of deal. So earlier leaked versions of Android still show some key lime pie elements and some naming schemes from key lime pie, and even a debug icon from key lime pie. But they're probably going to change all these things to match up with the KitKat mantra. As far as the Nexus 5 name goes, it's kind of hard to say because on one hand they could say it's the Nexus 5, but then the next Nexus will be the Nexus 6 and then the Nexus 7, which is the new tablet. So naturally, based on that, a lot of people said it's just going to be called the Nexus 4 2013 or the new Nexus 4. That makes sense. But honestly, the only thing that's actually confirmed right now is the model number, which is the LG G820. And that confirms two things. Number one, it'll be made by LG again. And number two, it'll be a natural step up from the model number from the LG G2, which was the LG D802. But for the purposes of this video and for the purpose of the rumors, we're just gonna call it the Nexus 5. So if this new device is based on the LG G2, should we expect it to have high-end specs like the LG G2? That's a question that's interesting because, well, first of all, the Nexus line started off as being known for high-end specs. The Nexus 1 was the first device to have a 1 GHz processor, which at the time was nuts. But right now, as of more recently, the Nexus 4 comes out and goes with a more mid-high-end range spec sheet, but a much more competitive price. So we've actually gotten the leaked specs of the new Nexus, and we can confirm just about everything here. So it's going to have a 5-inch 1080p display. It's going to have that Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 quad-core processor clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. It'll have 2 gigabytes of RAM and an 8-megapixel back-facing camera with optical image stabilization. It'll also have a sealed 2,300 milliamp hour battery. If you were looking for a removable battery or removable storage, Nexus is not for you. And we're also looking at connectivity on LTE bands in the United States, and it'll all come in a package that's just 8.6 millimeters thick. These are all pretty high to mid to high specs. I mean, they're not Note 3 future-proof sort of specs on a phone, but they're also pretty decent specs. And I would expect to see a phone based off of the $600 to $700 LG G2 in the Google Play Store, as competitive as Google can get. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 16 or 32 gigabyte version of the Nexus 5 sell for $499 off contract in the Play Store. As far as carriers in the United States, since the Play Store tends to be a very United States-centric thing, I would expect all the major ones, but don't cross your fingers for a Verizon Nexus 5. Just don't. It's probably not going to happen. And even if it does happen again, Verizon's likely going to find a way to screw it up like it does with all its other promising devices on its network. So I'm actually already in the process of fully switching over to AT&T in order to just use AT&T as my main line right now. Either way, all the information about Nexus 5 will be finally unveiled and released officially this month. it's October, along with a whole bunch of other awesome tech this month. But all of the rumors will finally cease and the false things will be dispelled when the Google event actually happens. I have a feeling that's not going to be the biggest surprise at the event. The more exciting things that we don't already know much about, like the Asus-built Nexus 10, or maybe some Google Glass or some Google Chrome news might be more exciting. But either way, follow me on Twitter for more of the Nexus 5 coverage as it unrolls. And if we get more stuff, I'll be sure to share it with you. If we get more leaked stuff that we don't already know, I'll be tweeting that out. But either way, that's been it. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.